So to Spa, a place the drivers love.
I think it's fantastic. It's probably one of the best circuits I've ever been to. You know, I come from a karting background. This is my first year in car racing, and you know, a lot of karting tracks we've got in the UK and abroad are pretty special. But this place is just tops everything I've ever been to in my life.
It's an experience for such a youngster to be able to race around such a famous circuit and such history behind it as well. It's brilliant to sort of be able to say I've drove Spa. So yeah, it's all good.
It's actually really nice that the whole town sort of embraces the event, because in the UK, you know, we have a lot of like noise curfews and stuff, and motorsport isn't really embraced that much by the general sort of town public, and so it's really nice to see that everyone gets involved in the racing, and it's a real event coming here, so it's a bit special.
The place even more special by the fact that Lucas Oruch won the opening race of the weekend, his first car racing win. He dominated the race and headed home David Sutton and James Walker as the podium finishers. A winning margin over 6 seconds at the checkered flag. Behind Walker, Stefan de Resta took 4th ahead of Joe Fulbrook, with Stuart Lines rounding out the top 6. He was ahead of Chris Smiley making a guest appearance in the championship, then George White, Phil Morris and Kieran Gallagher in 10th. Reverse those top 6 and you get the grid for race 2, and that means that Lucas Oruch, as the race 1 winner, has got a lot of work to do. The grid is formed, ready for race 2 of the weekend for the Miltech Sport Volkswagen Racing Cup. And Spa, a circuit the championship came to for the first time last year, is a real hit with the drivers. So, pole position, Stuart Lines in the green Sirocco, and the drivers now look towards the lighting gantry. Lights go red, lights out, we're racing. Lines makes a good start. Can he lead the pack down towards La Source? David Sutton dives out in number 6, the black Sirocco. He goes one side and then the other. Joe Fulbrook is on the outside, but Sutton storms into La Source. He's going to lead the way. It was a really good start. David Sutton led into the hairpin, but he's run wide, and Stuart Lines, I think, has got the drop on him as they head downhill for the first time. James Walker loses a place as Lucas Oruch, having won that first race of the weekend, finds a way past him as well now. Lines leads. Through Eau Rouge they go for the first time, and now uphill. This is James Walker's view in the Golf. Uses all of the curbing up through Radion and then along the Camel Straight for the first time. Is this a circuit at which the Siroccos, with a rather more aero shape, are going to have the advantage over the Golfs? Well, at the moment, the Golf Club is captained by Joe Fulbrook because he's there in 3rd place, number 13, heading up towards Les Combes for the first time. Fulbrook is going to lose out possibly because round the outside of him goes Stefan de Resta. It's the Sirocco 1, 2, 3. Walker, in his Golf, tries to buy into this battle as well. 6th at the moment he is as they head down towards Bruxelles for the first time. Ahead of him is a charging Lucas Oruch, who's looking to try to gain ground. Stuart Lines in the green Sirocco also trying to stay on the back of the pack as they work their way downhill. But David Sutton's done a really good job to lead the way. De Resta up to 2nd, Lines 3rd, Fulbrook 4th, and downhill they come, heading towards Pouin for the first time. Joe Fulbrook's 4th place is really in jeopardy. Lucas Oruch is right with him. They're going to get something like 9 laps in this race as they turn their way through this long left-hander, and look at de Resta with a tighter line. He's going to level with Sutton as they head down towards the pith path. One Golf goes wide in the background, but the 2 race leaders switch around. Stefan de Resta on the outside heading into the pith path has gone through, and that was really brave stuff. On board with James Walker now. Ahead of him you can see 33, which is Lucas Oruch, and he's trying to make a move against him. De Resta leads then in this Sirocco 1, 2, 3 at the moment. 4th is Fulbrook, 5th is Oruch, 6th is Walker, and you're riding with him as the cars now accelerate up from L'École for the first time, then towards the Cours Paul Frère and on towards Blanchimont. James Walker's view. The battle raging on ahead of him, but he might still be able to do something about this and buy into it. He's dropped a length or 2. But you discount James Walker at your peril. Son of former truck racing hero Richard Walker. David Sutton, though, having a really good run to defend. He sits square in the middle of the road, and there's no way that de Resta can find a way through. But Oruch goes round the outside of Fulbrook for 4th. Up the inside of the second part of the bus stop. He has done it. Oruch and Spa make a very good combination. 1 more place gained over the timing line now. Down to La Source, you're riding with James Walker once again as Joe Fulbrook's Golf dives up the inside of Lucas Oruch, but he's not able to find a way through there. Downhill they go, and there's damage. Look to Kieran Gallagher's car, and even wider running off the road there. 22, the team hard car of Howard Fuller. Howard suffered quite a big accident at Alton Park at the start of the season. Good to have him back and racing as the cars work their way uphill. James Walker there taking a big bite of curb as he's trying to stay with Joe Fulbrook. But little by little, Fulbrook's Golf has been elbowed back through that Sirocco pack, hasn't he? So the rather more svelte hatchback now locks out the top four, with the window peeling out of the side of Di Resta's car there by the look of it. You can see it flapping. Is that going to affect the pace? He's second, just ahead of Orrock, who's now got ahead of Stuart Lynes, but David Sutton still leads the way. Car's set off downhill, and the one that's not really joined this leading gaggle yet is Aaron Mason. Now Walker has lost a place there because George White's got ahead of him in the blue Sirocco. So it's another example of the Siroccos looking quick around here, but David Sutton it is up front, not really pulling away from the opposition. He's looking quick, but he's not storming clear. Stefan Di Resta is keeping him on his toes as they head into Pouin, and Di Resta in turn is trying to fend off the challenge of Lucas Orrock now. Through that long, fast left. And you can see the first of the goals, that of Joe Fulbrook, under huge pressure now because 77 George White is a major thorn in the side. Through the pith path they come. James Walker has got the best seat in the house. The trouble is that he's starting to just fall away a little bit from that gaggle ahead of him, and there's a real sort out going into their call for second place now. The two white Siroccos overlapping. George White, in his first season in the championship, racing rookie. His dad Paul is a GT racer, and he's adapting well to these cars. He is now very much part of this pack and having his best showing of the season thus far. Joe Fulbrook's trying to join the party as well once again. And James Walker, shouting "wait for me," turns through Blanchimont on the tail of this leading gaggle. Up to the bus stop they come. David Sutton is being able to maintain the lead, soak up the pressure, but it is far from easy as Lucas Orrock dives to the outside. He's just about level. He's got the inside line for the second part of the bus stop. No, he's not. David Sutton boxes him off there, and it's Sutton who's able to come across the line in the lead. Number 6, David Sutton it is, in the black Sirocco up front, with second being almost everybody else over the line. Orrock is ahead of Di Resta, the green car of Lynes. Fulbrook, the leading Golf driver, and then the white and red Golf, James Walker next up. Great battle this as the cars turn their way downhill. Out of La Source, past the endurance pits. Spa, a busy place because the Volkswagens here taking part in the annual 25 Hours Fun Cup weekend. One or two more dead flies and perhaps even spots of liquid on the windscreen as the cars plunge downhill up the other side of Eau Rouge, and now Walker is on the back of Fulbrook. George White has dropped back a little bit, but the Golf battle is heading towards Les Combes and it's hotting up nicely. James Walker closing up all the while, but David Sutton still leads, or does he? Lucas Orrock, with a bit of damage on the front of the Sirocco, makes his move for the race lead, and through he goes. Lucas Orrock, race 1 winner, leads race 2. Now, can he hang on in there? It's going to be tough. We'll find out after the break.
If you suffer a serious injury, it may not only be you who suffers the consequences. At Owen Mitchell, our personal injury solicitors know that when it comes to getting on with your life again, compensation is only part of the story. So we'll help you get the best possible medical care and rehabilitation, so you and your family can get the most out of life.
That's why I'm with Owen Mitchell.
Call us now to see how we can help you.
Let Butlins help make your days together this summer really precious. You can meet Titan the robot, get arty with Mr. Maker, and solve mysteries with Scooby-Doo and the gang live on stage, plus much more. And the best bit is, it's all part of the price of your Butlins break. Call us on 0800 222 555 or visit butlins.com today.
What we got here then?
I want to drive.
3 years old.
10,000? No, 9,000 miles a year.
Business use? I don't think so.
You're looking at, best part, 200 quid.
Oh, Saving on your car insurance.
For a great deal on your car insurance, visit the experts at Go Compare.
At Giacomo, we've got style for any occasion. Wherever you're going, you're going to need gear that fits. And we've got something to suit any build this autumn, in sizes small to 5XL. Getting the right look is a stroll in the park. So walk the walk with big name brands in sizes exclusive to Giacomo. Head into one of our stores now or get 10% off your first order at giacomo.co.uk. Call 0800 980 1180 for the book.
Race 2 at Spa in the Miltech Sport Volkswagen Racing Cup. Leader, Lucas Orrock. Second, David Sutton. Third, Stefan de Resta. Fourth, rest of the field. Really, it is that close. And James Walker has just lost a place to Sam Morgan, but he gets it back. Coming out of La Source, up the inside goes the red Golf, and James Walker goes through. In squabbling with Morgan, though, and Morgan comes back at him. They've both lost touch with the pack ahead. And Morgan really bravely charges downhill, gets the place, flicks through a Rouge over the curb. And now what can he do about pulling away from James Walker and possibly even catching the traffic ahead? He's going up towards Les Combes now. The race leader is Lucas Orrock, who won the opening race of the weekend here. Still that passenger window flaps on Stefan de Resta's car as they work their way through Les Combes once more. Stuart Lyons running in that leading group. Joe Fulbrook's Golf is next, and this a replay of what happened on the previous lap heading towards Blanchimont. Lucas Orrock right on the back of Stefan de Resta, who defends. Orrock right up behind him, switches sides, and that is how the damage was done to the front of the car. There, heading into La Source, you can see just how damaged the front is, because that bodywork is starting to flap and now even drag on the ground. Stuart Lyons in the green Sirocco gets elbowed out wide, and Sam Morgan picks on Joe Fulbrook. James Walker tries to get in the mix as well. Sam Morgan going very strongly here. That Golf is getting quicker and quicker as the race wears on. And have we got more spots of something coming onto the windscreen of James Walker's car? It's not exactly raining here, but rain is never far away at Spa. Sam Morgan up the inside of Joe Fulbrook. This is the captaincy of the golf club up for grabs here. And that, I'm afraid, getting it wrong is Chris Smiley. You can see the damage in the side of the car. It may not entirely that incident have been his fault, because that's a very banana-shaped Golf. Chris, ex-Mini Challenge racer, been racing in the DTM supporting Sirocco R Cup this year. Aaron Mason working his way through from a really disappointing race one, and he's got past James Walker. Aaron Mason has won more races in the history of this championship than anybody else. Not convinced he's going to win this one, but he is getting nearer to the front as the rather deranged front of Lucas Orrock's car heralds his arrival, heading into Les Combes once more. Sam Morgan turns his way through. The Silverstone Motorsport College student. Out of the race, though, is Howard Fuller, the Team Hard Golf. Having got involved with teammate Chris Smiley is out of the race, and a spin. That's Paul de Hardry. The capital management principal has had a spin at Les Combes. He'll be able to rejoin, but place is lost. Early race leader David Sutton is going backwards. You can see now he's lost out to a brace of Siroccos, and Joe Fulbrook's Golf is about to have a go as well, coming through Blanchimont. How is the other Golf getting on? James Walker hunting down George White. If anything, though, James Walker is going backwards in this race. He's losing places. It seems it's not the best of circuits for the Golfs, and that's a huge lock-up from Lucas Orrock coming into the bus stop. Scrabbles into the corner, uses all of that run-off tarmac, and will continue in the lead, but by a reduced margin. He didn't really gain an advantage out of all of that. He scrubbed off speed, certainly slowed the car down, so he compromised himself, but the front is starting to fall off that car. I almost wonder whether it's going to get to the point before the end of the need for a black and orange mechanical warning flag, the meatball flag, because it's certainly getting worse and worse. It's dragging on the ground. If it comes off altogether and gets stuck under the car, that'll be a big drama, but for now Orrock is trying to make the best of it, but the lap times are going up, and that means he's being caught. It is very definitely dragging on the ground now. The snowplow effect for Lucas Orrock. James Walker here flings the Golf up Radillon. Grabs a gear. Spa, even though it's a modern day F1 circuit, is not the widest, and Stefan de Resta, busy gesticulating at Lucas Orrock, goes through, takes the race lead, and Orrock's car is falling apart. The front of it is disintegrating around him. Now, what was that wave all about from De Resta? Was it to warn him about the damage, or was it to say, let's not squabble, let's try and pull away from the rest? Well, this lock-up didn't really help matters either for Lucas Oruch, did it? He ran wide into the bus stop, and that car is getting increasingly dogged. He needs it to fall off altogether, really, because now it's impeding him. He's trying to maintain pace with the bodywork dragging on the ground and heading underneath the car. It's all conspiring against him. Walker is closing on White. White is up with Aaron Mason. Mason is trying to close on lines. They're all going to close up on Lucas Oruch for as long as that car has got this snowplow hindering its progress. Walker dives to the inside, heading through Lecon. He's going to get past George White again here. He used the curb coming out of the corner, but Walker gains the place, and with that momentum now sets off in pursuit of Aaron Mason. The cars working their way through Blanchimont, over the curb. Joe Fulbrook, he has now got himself up past 33, which is Lucas Oruch, and you can understand why he's losing places with that damage to the front. It's a short race, so he'd lose too much time by pitting. He's got to try and soldier on. The last lap board is there, so Lucas Oruch will run to the end, but how many more places will he lose? We're also getting news of a time penalty for Sam Morgan, a 5-second penalty. Morgan there in the grey Golf, even if he gets past Oruch, may lose another position on the classification, assuming anybody can stay within 5 seconds of him. So the story is not necessarily just going to be what's on the track on this last lap here. Joe Fulbrook then up ahead of Lucas Oruch. Golf versus Sirocco, or what's left of it. Sam Morgan is next up. Big frustration for Oruch. The car certainly not going as rapidly as it did in race 1. He heads uphill. There's nothing he can do about this. He's just got to try to drive the wheels off it now. Stefan De Resta leads the way. Up to Lecon for the last time. Sam Morgan up to third. And that is the bodywork from Lucas Oruch's car. Finally, it has broken free. There's some stuck under the front. Most of it is scattered across Spa, but you can see it dragging underneath as he goes through Lecon. Now, has that cleared the blockage, as it were? I know there's some stuck underneath, but without it dragging on the ground, has that car suddenly been given an injection of speed? Let's have a look and see, because if he starts to close on people on this last lap, then there is a chance that Oruch's pace has come back to him. It might be too late, and it might be that he's still got dramas with that bodywork stuck underneath, but if it's finally rid itself of the rest of the car, this might be good news for him. James Walker heads downhill. There is the race leader. This is the easy bit. Stefan De Resta is heading for the victory, but behind, Joe Fulbrook leads the pack. Coming out of Pont, downhill. In third is Sam Morgan. Oruch fourth, so he's not closing, he's not retaliating, so he still is struggling with something stuck underneath the car. But remember, Morgan has got a 5-second time penalty. So if Lucas Oruch can stay within 5 seconds, he'll get a podium finish out of this race. James Walker closing through the piff-paff onto the back of Aaron Mason here. He has a look on the outside. That's not going to work for him, I don't think, because they work their way into Lecole. Now, what about the inside here? Heading into the second part of this corner that takes you to the Cours Paul Frère. He still can't do it. There you can see Lucas Oruch. He's chasing Morgan, who's chasing Fulbrook. But Stefan De Resta is chasing victory, and it will be win number 2 of the season. Aaron Mason is up on the back of Stuart Lynes as they work their way up towards Blanchimont for the final time. Somebody runs really wide there with a problem, but very wide as well goes Aaron Mason. Off the road, back on again. Stefan De Resta is being caught on the last lap by Fulbrook and Morgan, but the checkered flag awaits as Stefan De Resta is about to come through for a second win of the season. Checkered flag flies, De Resta wins. Second goes to Joe Fulbrook. Third coming across the line is Sam Morgan ahead of Lucas Oruch. But when you add 5 seconds, that is going to drop Sam Morgan down to 8th place. Dear oh dear, it shows how close they were behind, but Sam Morgan really does lose out big time. This then is how the top 6 looks, and Stefan De Resta is the man who comes through for that second victory of the season. The Sirocco's triumph over the Golfs here at Spa this weekend.
Stefan, many congratulations. That was an interesting race today. I mean, it must have been, I think there's 4 of you all together going into that corner on about the 3rd lap.
Yeah, well, we got off to a good start and we came out the first corner third, and
by the end of the lap we were actually leading, but my straight line speed in that race for some reason was just worse than it's ever been, and I got past again before the end of the last lap, and then I got into the lead and I got past again, and whenever I got by it was all over, and then Lucas got into the lead and he still had the straight line, so he managed to get away, and then when I managed to get by I managed to get the gap. I was catching Lucas, but I think it might have been a bit late to catch him, and then he had the problem go, so these things happen.
It was swapping the whole time, so it must have made it more interesting.
It definitely was. It's the second race always seems to be a bit more compact because they switch them around and that, and it's about making the best of it, and I made the best of it in the first lap, and I think I could have won it a lot easier if it had been better straight line, but this is the way it is, and I've won, so I'm happy, I can't complain.
It was pretty close though throughout the whole race. It must have been pretty physically demanding.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been so tired in a race car. I'm getting a bit too old for this, so it was really tiring in the car. But I think Lucas had a problem at the end there. I see his front bumper come off with a lot of smoke, so it's a bit of fortune. But this, is a race of attrition out there, the whole weekend really. So it's just good to be finishing in the top 3 again, rather than the poor qualifying we had for the weekend. So we're all pretty happy with that.
I built a little bit of a gap. At that point, I think David Sutton was in second, and they were fighting a little bit, which I think helped me. But I think we had really, really strong pace, and we were consistent. And I was just sort of measuring away, and then Stefan got in a second, and I thought, okay, he's probably a little bit quicker, but just hold the gap where it is. There's no need to do anything silly. And my idea was to try and drive within my limits and nurse the car home. But unfortunately, just coming out of Stavelot, I heard something sort of drop at the front. And I thought, what was that? I didn't know if it hit something or what, but. As I came round to the last corner, it just something dropped, and I could hear it, sort of the wind hitting it, and really loud noise. And I went, well, what's this? And as I went to hit the brakes coming to the last corner, the front's just locked up, and what's happened is the front bumpers come off and got stuck underneath the car. The lower part, the balance of the bumpers got stuck underneath the car, and then you hit the brakes and the car's being propped up and you can't do anything. So just locked up. And after that, I kind of realised, okay, I've got an issue with the car. I don't really know what it is. Drive it within its limits. Don't throw it off. And then try and salvage whatever result I could. I think Sam actually got past me on the track in the end, but I think he got a penalty for track limits, which was a shame for him. But we'll take him, and we'll take any result we can. So in that situation, I think everyone's going to have problems like that throughout the year. So when that happens to you, even though we should have won the race and it's frustrating, you've just got to make the most of it, because it will happen to other people. And we'll come back from this and looking forward to the next one.
So heading back to Blighty, the championship is led by Stefan de Resta, just 2 points up on Joe Fulbrook, and he is 10 clear of Lucas Orrock. Aaron Mason's 4th ahead of David Sutton and Josh Cagill.
So we've had some great action here at Spa. Congratulations once again to Stefan de Resta taking that win here this weekend. Now, next time we'll be back in the UK and we'll go to Brands Hatch in Kent, so join us for that. Bye-bye.